Some restaurants become more than places to eat. They become landmarks, traditions, pieces of who we are, and when they close, they take a little piece of the world with them. In this video, we visit iconic restaurants and chains that no longer exist. Horn and Hard Art, New York City. Opened as the first automat in the United States in 1902 at 818. Chestnut Street in Philadelphia, where customers drop nickels into slots and turn knobs to retrieve fresh pie, baked beans, and macaroni. By the 1940s, more than 150 locations served roughly 500,000 customers a day. The rise of McDonald's and Burger King left the sit-down automat behind. The last location at 42nd Street and 3rd Avenue in Manhattan closed on April 9, 1991. The Smithsonian preserves a section of the original machinery, Howard Johnson's. Howard Deering Johnson started with a small soda fountain in Wollaston, Massachusetts in 1925, selling homemade ice cream with 28 signature flavors. At its peak in 1975, the chain had more than 1,000 restaurants and 500 motor lodges across 42 states, known for fried clam strips and orange roofs with aqua cupolas. The 1973 oil embargo devastated the chain, since 85% of its revenue came from highway travelers. Marriott bought the company in 1985 and sold off the restaurants. The last Howard Johnson's restaurant in Lake George, New York, closed in March of 2022. The hotel brand survives under Wyndham. The restaurants are all gone. Burger Chef, Indianapolis, Indiana. Opened in 1957, Burger Chef grew to roughly 1,200 locations by 1972, making it the second largest burger chain in America behind only McDonald's. In 1973, it introduced the Fun Meal, a kids' meal with a toy, 6 years before McDonald's launched the Happy Meal. Corporate mismanagement under General Foods led to a $75 million write-off by 1971. The chain was sold to Hardee's in 1982 for $44 million, and most locations were converted. The last Burger Chef in Cookeville, Tennessee closed in 1996. Victoria Station, San Francisco, California. 3 Cornell graduates opened the first Victoria Station in December of 1969, a steakhouse built inside railroad boxcars and cabooses with antique British Railway posters on the walls. At its peak, the chain had 100 locations nationwide. Victoria Station filed for bankruptcy in 1986. The last location in Salem, Massachusetts closed in December of 2017. A few of the old boxcars still sit rusting behind strip malls, too heavy to move. Sambo's, Santa Barbara, California, named after founders Sam Battistone Sr. and Newell Bonnet. This pancake house opened in 1957 and grew to more than 1,100 locations by the late 1970s. The name drew widespread protests as the civil rights movement gained momentum. By 1982, all but one location had closed. The original on East Cabrillo Boulevard in Santa Barbara survived for decades before being renamed in 2020. Steak and Ale, Dallas, Texas. Norman Brinker opened the first Steak and Ale in 1966, pioneering the affordable casual steakhouse with a full salad bar. The chain grew to 280 locations and helped launch the entire casual dining industry. On July 29, 2008, parent company Metro Media filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy and closed every remaining location overnight without warning. Employees arrived the next morning to find the doors locked and the lights off. After 16 years of being defunct, the brand was revived and a new Steak and Ale opened in Burnsville, Minnesota in August of 2024. Chi-Chi's, Richfield, Minnesota. Founded in 1975 by restaurateur Marno McDermott and former Green Bay Packers player Max McGee, Chi-Chi's grew to more than 210 locations, known for free chips and salsa, sizzling fajita platters, and birthday sombreros. The chain filed for bankruptcy on October 8, 2003. 1 month later, a hepatitis A outbreak at the Beaver Valley Mall location sickened more than 650 people and killed 4, the largest such outbreak in American history. The last U.S. Chi-Chi's closed on September 18, 2004. Lum's, Miami Beach, Florida. Famous for hot dogs steamed in beer, Lum's opened in Miami Beach in the late 1950s and expanded to nearly 400 locations by the early 1970s. The corporate parent went bankrupt in 1982, and most locations disappeared, but a handful of independent franchises survived for decades afterward. The absolute last Lums in Bellevue, Nebraska, finally closed on May 28, 2017. Kenny Rogers Roasters, Coral Springs, Florida. The country music legend lent his name to a rotisserie chicken chain that launched in 1991 and expanded to more than 300 locations worldwide. A 1996 Seinfeld episode famously featured the chain's red neon sign. The chain filed for bankruptcy in 1998, and the last U.S. location closed in 2011. Kenny Rogers Roasters continues to thrive in Malaysia and the Philippines with dozens of locations today. Bennigan's, Atlanta, Georgia. The Irish-themed casual dining chain opened in 1976 and grew to more than 300 locations worldwide. On July 29, 2008, the same day Steak and Ale vanished, their shared parent company filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy and shuttered all 150 corporate locations overnight. As of 2025, roughly 6 original format locations remain scattered across the United States. Geno's, Baltimore, Maryland. Co-founded in 1957 by Baltimore Colts star Gino Marchetti, this East Coast burger chain operated more than 350 locations across the Mid-Atlantic. The Gino Giant, a double-decker hamburger with special sauce, predated the Big Mac and is widely believed to have inspired it. Marriott purchased the chain in 1982 and converted most locations into Roy Rogers restaurants, and within a few years, the Gino's name had all but disappeared. K. Paul's Louisiana Kitchen, New Orleans, Louisiana. Chef Paul Prudhomme opened K. Paul's in the French Quarter in 1979 and almost single-handedly introduced America to Cajun and Creole cooking. His blackened redfish became so famous that redfish had to be temporarily regulated to prevent overfishing. Prudhomme died on October 8, 2015, at age 75. The restaurant carried on until the COVID-19 pandemic forced its permanent closure in July of 2020. Carnegie Deli, New York City. Opened in 1937 across the street from Carnegie Hall, Carnegie Deli was famous for towering pastrami and corned beef sandwiches stacked 4 inches high, and legendary cheesecake. Woody Allen featured it in Broadway Danny Rose. Tourists waited in line for hours. Owner Marion Harper Levine closed the restaurant in 2016. Carnegie still ships cured meats and cheesecakes from a New Jersey plant, but the restaurant itself is gone. El Bulli, Roses, Spain. Established in 1964 as a modest beachfront bar on Catalonia's Costa Brava, El Bulli was transformed by chef Ferran Adrià into the birthplace of molecular gastronomy. The restaurant earned 3 Michelin stars in 1997 and was named the best restaurant in the world 5 times. Open only 6 months a year, it received more than 2 million reservation requests annually, while serving roughly 8,000 diners per season. Adria held the last dinner service on July 30th, 2011. The site is now the El Bulli Foundation, a museum and culinary research center. Le Gavroche, London, England. The first restaurant in Britain to earn 1, 2, and then 3 Michelin stars. French brothers Albert and Michel Roux. Senior opened Le Gavroche in 1967, training an entire generation of British chefs, including Gordon Ramsay and Marco Pierre White. Michel Roux Jr. closed the doors in January of 2024 after 57 years of continuous operation. The 21 Club, New York City. During Prohibition, it operated as a speakeasy with a hidden wine cellar behind a 2-ton door that could only be opened by inserting a meat skewer into a specific crack in the wall. After repeal, the 21 Club became one of Manhattan's most exclusive restaurants, with its iconic row of painted jockey statues lining the iron balcony above West 52nd Street. The restaurant operated continuously from 1930 until the COVID-19 pandemic closed it in March of 2020. The jockey statues remain on the facade, but the dining room behind them is dark. Woolworth's Lunch Counter, Greensboro, North Carolina. On February 1, 1960, 4 black college students sat down at the whites-only Woolworth's lunch counter and refused to leave. The Greensboro sit-ins became one of the defining moments of the civil rights movement. The last Woolworth store in the United States closed in 1997. The lunch counter is now preserved at the Smithsonian's National Museum of American History, Red Barn, Springfield, Ohio. You could not miss it from the road. The The restaurant was shaped like an enormous red barn with a towering white silo, selling fried chicken, burgers, and a fish sandwich called the Big Fish. Red Barn opened in 1961 and expanded to more than 300 locations across the Midwest. A real estate firm bought the chain in the 1970s and let the franchise leases expire one by one. By the late 1980s, every Red Barn had closed. A few of the barn-shaped buildings still stand in small towns across Ohio and Michigan, converted into other businesses. Showbiz Pizza Place, Kansas City, Missouri. Founded in 1980, Showbiz featured the Rock-a-Fire Explosion, an animatronic band that performed on stage while kids ate pizza and burned through arcade tokens. At its peak, the chain had more than 200 locations. A legal dispute led to a merger with Chuck E. Cheese in 1984. And by 1992, every Showbiz had been converted. The Rock-a-Fire characters were stripped from their stages and sent to warehouses. Arthur Treacher's Fish and Chips. Named after the British character actor, this Ohio-based chain opened in 1969 and brought battered fish and chips to strip malls across America, growing to more than 800 locations at its peak. When the price of cod skyrocketed, the chain replaced it with pollock and customers noticed. Sales collapsed. By 2021, only a single location remained in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio, Hot Shops, Washington, D.C. Before Marriott was a hotel empire, it was a root beer stand. J. Willard Marriott opened the first Hot Shops in 1927, selling root beer and Mexican-inspired food. The chain grew into a beloved regional restaurant across the Mid-Atlantic, known for drive-in service and Mighty Mo burgers. Hot Shops became the foundation of the Marriott Corporation, which shifted its focus entirely to lodging. The last Hot Shops closed in 1999. Souplantation, San Diego, California. Known as Sweet Tomatoes outside of Southern California, this all-you-can-eat soup and salad buffet chain opened in 1978 and grew to more than 90 locations across 15 states. When COVID-19 shut down indoor dining in March of 2020, every location closed. 2 months later, the closure was made permanent. A buffet restaurant could not survive a pandemic built on fear of shared surfaces. Cafe Texan, Huntsville, Texas. Reportedly the oldest cafe in Texas, Cafe Texan opened in 1936 and served chicken fried steak, homemade biscuits, and strong coffee to generations of locals. When COVID-19 hit in 2020, the cafe closed temporarily to protect its older regulars and never reopened. Today the building houses the Cafe Texan History Museum and Library. Minnie Pearl's Chicken, Nashville, Tennessee. Launched in 1967 and named after the beloved Grand Ole Opry comedian, Minnie Pearl's Chicken aimed to rival Kentucky Fried Chicken with a celebrity-endorsed Southern brand. The chain grew rapidly to more than 200 franchise agreements, but most locations never actually opened. The SEC investigated founders John Jay and Henry Hooker for reporting franchise fees as immediate profit before stores even opened, though they were ultimately cleared of wrongdoing. The chain collapsed almost as fast as it rose, becoming one of the fastest franchise failures in American restaurant history. Doggy Diner, San Francisco, California. Recognized by its giant rotating dachshund head signs perched atop each location, Doggy Diner operated more than 30 fast food restaurants across the San Francisco Bay Area from 1948 to 1986. The chain served hot dogs, burgers, and milkshakes to generations of Bay Area families. Declining sales and increasing competition shut the chain down. One of the original fiberglass dachshund heads was saved and now sits on display at the corner of Sloat Boulevard and 45th Avenue, designated as an official San Francisco landmark. Farrell's Ice Cream Parlor, Portland, Oregon. Opened in 1963, Farrell's became famous for its gay 90s theme, candy-striped decor, and massive sundaes like the zoo, served in a trough, while sirens blared and staff paraded through the dining room. At its peak, the chain had more than 130 locations across the country. Changing tastes and corporate ownership changes led to a slow decline through the 1980s and 1990s. A revival attempt in 2009 opened several new locations, but the last one closed in 2019. Pup in Taco, Los Angeles, California. Opened in the early 1960s, Pup and Taco served an unusual combination of hot dogs, tacos, and pastrami from its distinctive A-frame buildings across Southern California. At its height, the chain had roughly 100 locations. Taco Bell purchased the chain in the early 1980s and converted most locations. The last standalone Pup and Taco closed in 1984. The orange and brown A-frame buildings have almost entirely vanished from the Southern California landscape. Beefsteak Charlie's, New York City. Opened in 1977, Beefsteak Charlie's built its reputation on an all-you-can-eat salad bar, unlimited beer, wine, and sangria included with every meal. The chain expanded to more than 60 locations across the Northeast during the 1980s. Rising costs and changing dining habits thinned the herd through the 1990s. The last Beefsteak Charlie's locations closed in the early 2000s. A brief revival attempt at a Long Island mall in 2009 failed almost immediately. Stuckey's, Eastman, Georgia. Founded in 1937 by W.S. Stuckey Sr. as a roadside pecan stand, Stuckey's grew into a chain of more than 350 teal-roofed highway rest stops stretching from coast to coast, famous for pecan log rolls, divinity candy, and kitschy souvenirs. Interstate travelers in the 1960s and 1970s knew the distinctive roofline from miles away. Corporate buyouts and changing highway culture gutted the chain. By the 2000s, fewer than 50 locations remained. The Stuckey family reacquired the brand in 2019 and has been slowly rebuilding, but the classic teal-roofed roadside empire is largely a memory. Rustler Steakhouse, Denver, Colorado. Founded in 1966 as a budget steakhouse chain, Rustler grew to more than 180 locations across the western United States. The restaurants featured a cafeteria-style serving line where customers chose their steak and sides before sitting down, making it one of the first fast casual steak concepts. Ownership changes and competition from newer casual dining chains led to steady decline. The last Rustler Steakhouse closed in the mid-1990s. Bill Knapp's, Battle Creek, Michigan. Founded in 1948, Bill Knapp's was a Michigan institution known for its birthday policy, giving customers a discount equal to their age, and its signature chocolate cake that loyal patrons swore by for decades. At its peak, the chain had more than 60 locations across Michigan, Ohio, and Indiana. Declining sales led the company to close all remaining restaurants in 2002. The chocolate cake recipe was later licensed, and the cakes are still sold in Michigan grocery stores. Clifton's Cafeteria, Los Angeles, California. Opened in 1935 by Clifford Clinton in downtown Los Angeles, Clifton's was a fantastical forest-themed cafeteria featuring artificial redwood trees, a waterfall, a chapel, and a pay-what-you-wish policy during the Depression. For decades, it served thousands of meals a day to everyone, from Hollywood stars to the city's poorest residents. After a multi-million-dollar renovation in 2015, the restaurant reopened briefly before closing again. The building still stands at 648 South Broadway, its future uncertain.